Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's CTA webinar. I'm Ali Humphreys, MD at Pro-Recruitment, and I am once again joined by the fabulous Nitin. Thank you very much for coming again, Nitin. Thanks,
Thank you.
everybody, for coming and taking the time today. We want to continue helping you with your tax exams and prepare for the up and coming exams come November. Over the next 45 minutes to hour, we'll be talking about where you should be at this stage of your revision and what you're going to be doing to prep, how to structure the next 6 weeks, and ultimately give yourself the best possible way of succeeding in these exams. As always, we want to answer questions all the way through this. So please pop them into the chat, pop them into the Q&A. I can then feed them and drip feed them through to Nitin. This is a session for you, and it's your opportunity to ask Nitin the questions that you've got, and that doesn't always come, you don't always get that opportunity. So please do pop your questions in there. This is for you guys. We've got a structure, but if we deviate from it because there's something important on the agenda, that is absolutely fine. Nitin, as always, it's fantastic to have you here. Do you want
Thanks,
to give
Ali.
yourself a little intro and then we can get on with the show?
Yeah, super quick. I'm one of BPP's senior tax tutors. I've been teaching all CTA related exams for over 25 years now. I'm known for my no nonsense, straight to the point approach. And like I said, I'm grateful for Ali and the Pro Recruitment Group for hosting this. Without Ali and her team, this wouldn't happen. And we just want to help you. So really, please ask questions and let's go for it.
Fabulous. Okay. I mean, many students are coming to the end of what we would call the short phase now.
Yes.
So at this point, where would you expect a typical student to be in terms of their preparation, and what does good look like for you now?
Ali, brilliant question as ever. I'm getting a lot of students getting panicky at this stage. And to the point, I was on the phone last night till about 10:30 speaking to a particular student of mine. Um, and I think you've got to be realistic as to where you are in stages. So for those people finishing the talk course, there will be this pressure that they put on themselves that I now need to be exam ready, that I'm probably a few marks away from passing, and that's not the case. Okay, I would expect my students, the way that I've taught them, to be in the 20%, 30% at this stage, which to me is perfect. Okay, if I've got anyone below that, below 20, I'd be a little bit concerned. I think 20 to 30 is a really good point. And I think people need to be kind to themselves because they've just come out of a talk phase, huge amount of volume, huge amount of technical data they've absorbed. Okay, and so when my revision starts, and I will set a question. So the way that I do revision is I literally give my students 10 minutes. That's it, 10 minutes, exam pressure, go and find those marks. Go and find the easy marks. And if it's a 20-mark question, Ali, if they can get 3 marks minimum out of 20 at this point, I'd be over the moon. Okay. And some people are going to be looking at me thinking, are you serious? I go, absolutely. Because what you've got to do is be confident with your base knowledge. Use the next 4 weeks to make a gazillion mistakes. Yeah. And so this student that I was speaking to last night, lovely student, okay, but she was like suffering from anxiety, thinking I'm getting things wrong. That's the whole point. The whole point is every mistake you make from now until the day before the exam is a development point, is a growth point. You become technically much better. Okay, as long as you can then spot that issue, the transaction on the day, you've done it. Your job is now to grow. Yeah, the growing, the acceleration happens now, but you've got to have a positive mindset. And I kept saying to her, look, if you're negative, you're already dropping 20, 30%. Yeah, because you're going to get intimidated by the question, you're not going to get through, and you're going to fail. Whereas if you flip it the other way and say, you know what, Nit's right, every day, make 20, 30 mistakes, it's not going to happen on the day I pass. It's as simple as that.
Here's a question. It may be a really silly one because I'm
Go
not a tax professional,
go on.
but who's pointing out where your mistakes are at? If you sat there and you're revising, who's pointing out these are all mistakes, these are all errors?
Brilliant. Okay. Okay. Right. So my students are banned from looking at the study manuals after the talk phase. Yeah, I don't want people in a manual. Okay, the manuals are brilliant, but you've got to let them go. So, what this student was doing, which I think is wrong, and I know there'll be people that will disagree with me, and I can take that. I don't want students writing out questions to time. Yeah, because that's going to take an hour a question. It's time consuming, it's a waste of energy. Most of these students are going to be doing mocks anyway, pre-revision mocks, revision mocks. Use that to do go to time. So you're then proper time tested. Doing a random question to time doesn't help anyone because you're not in that whole 3.5 hour exam loop. Um, so what my students are told is, look, put yourself under exam pressure, read a question for 10 minutes. And when I say read, Ali, I've got a few of my students here. They know what Nick's going to say. Read line by line. I go ballistic when people miss. So I was teaching someone last night, lovely guy, lovely student, had a little bit of an argument with me or disagreement where he jumped points. I was at this point. I said, but you get a mark here. Oh, but it's count. I go, no, it doesn't matter. And I asked, and he wouldn't accept it. I go, look, you're wrong. Okay, this is where you would have got a mark. Then you can get an alternative point. So people, basic reading techniques, CTA students don't have. And so you do a 10-minute read, Ali. You then look at every question has a marking guide as well as in-depth solutions. I tell my students, don't worry about the solutions. Look at the marking guide. Look at the marking grid. Did you get those points? Yeah, and that will take literally a 4-minute audit.
Okay.
And what you then do is you go and look at the mistakes. What points did you not pick up? What I then say to that student is ask yourself, was it because you misread? Yeah, now that's on you. You got to sort that out. Or was it a knowledge gap? Then go to the manual very quickly if you need to address it, but put it on a watch out. So what you should be now revising, Ali, and we've talked about, and you know we've talked about this,
Yeah.
is students should be preparing their own technical watch out sheets. That's what they should be revising, the things that they're going to forget. Little reminders, don't forget this if this happens. The minute you build your watch outs, oh my God, you're bulletproof. Yeah, because and there are a lot of students who are ACA, CTA joint pathway where they fall in, and I want to talk about this, where they fall into the trap. When they did tax compliance, they smashed the question bank. Then a lot of these students, not all of them, a lot of these students fail CTA because their technique's wrong. Because you're not, I'm going to tell everyone here, you are not going to get the same 6 questions again on an advanced technical paper or the same scenario on an APS paper. So if your game plan is I'm going to rely on past papers, yeah, we'll see you back here next year. Okay. And we've talked and we've had retakers who've said that, yeah, and it's right here. But if you can learn to spot transactions, connect with the question, look at what the question's asking you, and don't get intimidated, which is my biggest challenge with any student I teach, is to give them that confidence, make the right judgments, you're going to pass. But people don't invest that time. And that's where the issue is.
And for everyone's benefit who haven't been on a webinar before, we talk about the questions and what the CTA exam questions do is they give you scenarios that they're almost giving you the points, aren't they? By saying this person is married, this person is this person is that. Don't take that for granted. They're giving it to you because that's part of the answer.
It is, and like classic questions. If you're doing OMB Advanced Technical, right? So anyone doing OMB Advanced Technical, quick tip for you guys, who are you dealing with? Sole trader? But don't just say sole trader. Is it a new sole trader? Are they ceasing? What type of shareholder? What type of company? Is it trading? Is it investment? And students, the minute the examiner, every bit of information the examiner gives you has a knock-on tax impact. And if you can link the problem to the transaction scenario to the tax impact, Ali, everyone here and every other student will pass this exam, but they don't do that.
Here's a question from the audience actually about mistake spotting. So he's saying, how does the mistake spotting exercise that you've just discussed translate to the APS where there are no strict marking guides?
Again, this student is if the student knows that on a talk, if this student's been on a talk course, okay, the APS is easier than advanced technical. Yeah, and my students are the way that I teach APS to all my students, OMB, TOLCG, is about they get told read transactions. Okay, for APS, everything is a transaction. Yeah, so for OMB May 25, it was a family partnership, husband and wife. They wanted to gift some shares to the son, get the son involved. You would have seen that a million times. Yeah, in your prep. Okay, all the APS questions are fair. Okay, but what happens is for a lot of students, and I respect this, the anxiety, the panic kicks in, Ali, and I've seen it with my own students have been honest. I've got a few here, yeah, where I'm working on their anxiety. I'm trying to get them into what I call combat mode to say, right, look, let's attack the question, let's rip it apart, build your confidence, and you're there. So anyone with APS, transactions, tax impact, and written model answers. Have written model answers ready, and the candidate scripts are the best place to get yourself APS ready.
And I suppose with APS as well, and correct me if I'm wrong,
Sure.
it's not necessarily so that yes, the technical element is there, but it's how you answer that question, not reading. It's not the legislation. We're not dealing
Oh
out
my
the
gosh.
legislation. It's
Yeah.
can you talk to a client as a tax advisor? That's all. A lot of the APS marks are around how are you communicating with the client.
Oh,
Obviously, they have to
100.
be technically correct, but
Yeah, 100%. And I like on APS, you probably get the strictest NIT you've ever seen. And the reason why I'm very strict is because just one slip of judgment, game over.
yeah.
Yeah. And so I'll give you an example. I was doing day two APS last week and I write my own scenarios that are past paper for my students. And there was a sole trader loss scenario. There was a sole trader loss scenario. And one of my students said, "Oh yeah, it'll be about transferring the loss to the company." Ali, I lost it. I literally went meant no, seriously. Okay. I
He said
literally
he
lost.
was straightforward, gang. He
Yeah, I
said he
said,
was
look, I said,
straightforward.
where on earth in my scenario is there a company? Where did I mention company? What are you doing? But students do that. Yeah, the examiner says this. Students just don't have a clue. So and again, students need to be sensible, mature, responsible. You know, if their partners were watching them, how they perform in my classes, or yeah, they'd be horrified. They'll be horrified. Is that what we're paying a salary for? Yeah, because you know, there's an expectation you're going to have a little bit of common sense here. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry,
Um,
Streetnit's back. Streetnit's gone. It's gone again
Treatment is back.
now.
We often hear from students,
Yeah.
feel like they may have started a bit too late or they haven't started yet. If someone's only really getting started now, is it too late? Do they have enough time to get prepared for their up and coming exams that are 6, 7 weeks away?
Right. Provided these students don't faff around and get started this weekend with a proper action plan, how we've suggested, you are 100%. You've got enough time. Yeah. You've got seriously. I want to reassure people right now because the CIOT focus sessions are on right now. Okay. I'm doing the APS TOLCG, and we recommended anyone doing TOLCG AT should attend. So they need to go onto their CIOT website for their relevant paper, ATT as well. I'm doing the paper 5 1. So Tolly's Kaplan BPP, we all join in. Get yourselves on these £25 sessions. They are so worth it. And I do get frustrated when some of my own students don't attend. I mean, come on, guys, what are you doing? Yeah, this is going to take you next level. So get on there. Amazing tutors are there to help them. Now's the right time to start.
And they're readily available to anyone taking ATT and CTA. There's
Absolutely.
is there some way you can point people towards where they go and register for those focus sessions, Nick?
Yeah, it's on their website. So when they log into the CIOT on their own platform, it's there. Even if they Googled it, ATT, exam skills and focus sessions or CTA, they'll get the link.
And how many of those sessions do you think people should be attending? 1, 2?
They're basically split either 2 evenings or 1 day. Okay, so they only need to attend one of those for their relevant paper.
So for £25, you get a really structured CIOT focus lesson.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And Libby Morris from BPP, who is a legend. Okay, yeah, she's doing the OMBAT one, and we generally get about 100 students on there. literally, and it's brilliant. She's fantastic at taking people from 0 to 100% on how to apply, what to do. Yeah,
One of our students has actually just posted in the chat on this webinar the link. So if anybody doesn't know
brilliant.
where it is,
Thank
the
you.
link is
Thank
now in
you.
the chat. Okay, so for those students who are where you'd want them to be, or they're just catching up and putting in plans this year, what should their focus look like over the next 3 to 4 weeks?
So I think what they need to be doing now is, and I've always said this, get a timetable out. Yeah, get a realistic timetable. What you should be doing is reading and reviewing as many questions as you can. Don't worry about doing them to time. Okay, focus on your mistakes. Use your pre-revision mock, use your revision mock to time test. Okay, there will be some students who will be slightly nervous with this approach. Then I will counter that with, look, if you maybe want to do 1 or 2 questions to time over a weekend, then please do. Okay, but one of the things I'm begging everyone here to do, and it's really important, is when the exam 4 software is released, especially the ATT students, first timers, okay, make sure, make sure you are comfortable with exam 4. Okay, there are so many students, Ali, that go in unprepared on exam 4, then whinge about it afterwards when they fail. And when we ask them, did you practice exam 4? No. And Libby and I are like pulling our hairs out, thinking, what the hell are you doing? So when it is released, make sure you're ready, because that's the
What can they
software.
do to prepare for that software?
I would say once the CIOT release it and the ATT release it, is to practice a few questions typing up on exam 4.
Right.
Yeah, because it's a platform that it takes a bit of getting used to. Okay. And so you need to have familiarity so you're not kind of caught out by it on the day.
Yeah, so you're not going into it on the day going, where do I click this? Where do I select
Exactly,
that?
exactly.
So
Yeah.
things like that. Okay. And how much time should people be spending on exam technique versus actually technical prep?
Exam technique will come through the revision mocks, and they do. So ultimately, and that's our October session, isn't it? That's really, we're going to focus on that later. I think right now, okay, your exam technique is spotting the issue. Okay, your exam technique is then learning to apply, thinking, okay, this is what I'm going to use. So it all kind of gets wrapped up in one. Yeah, the only reason why you're going to fail this exam, okay, is you can't spot the issue. Yeah, and you then can't articulate the point. It's the easiest problem to have. Whereas if you've just got your head buried in a manual, you're not even you can't even spot issues. Okay, I'll give you an example, Ali. Right, so for taxation of large corporates, okay, AT or APS, I was doing this on the focus session, and I said, right, if Ali Limited were to buy NIT Limited, right, 100%, and NIT Limited had, what's the first check you do? And my students gave lots of different answers. Then I got a fantastic answer, which was you check the type of losses. Yeah, and that's a big thing. And I then went through the different permutations, Ali. I said, well, if NIT Limited had a brought forward loss before April 17, that can never be group relieved. There you go. You got your mark. But if that brought forward loss, Ali, arose after April 17, bizarre, 5-year group relief restriction. I know you won't know what I'm talking about, but
Yeah,
yeah, but this is
and
this is
everybody
proving the
else
point.
will. Yeah.
Yeah, but this is literally proving the point that one day can change your answer before April 17, after April 17. If it's a capital loss brought forward, it can never be used. So this is where you're going to learn that exam survival by reading those questions and getting them wrong, and then thinking, I've got to watch out for that. That's what I want students doing.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
it's technical content and being technically and making sure there's no gaps in those dates and
yeah,
that
yeah.
type of stuff is really, really important right now.
Absolutely. And for individuals and OMB, dates are critical. Yeah. And my students know they're terrified they'll get a NIT telling off if they don't apply that date. Give me the tax year, give me the election date. If you just write 31st of Jan after after following the tax year, that's like me saying to you, my birthday is sometime in March. That's not going to help you. Yeah, if you're thinking of sending me a big gift, Ali, right? It's not gonna. but we've got to be precise. We've got to be bang on. Yeah, and that's where the examiner gets annoyed. Yeah.
Someone's just questioned here, if she's not booked on a revision course, do you think this would be recommended to add on now?
So my reluctance, so it can. So the problem is where you've got self-study students, if they've done the talk course with someone, then the revision course will be brilliant. I'm a big fan of revision courses. Do your research. Yeah, find the tutor that works for you. Okay, I'm not everyone's cup of tea. You know, I've openly always said that. Okay, but yeah, Tolly's Cat Plan, BPP, they're all amazing. You make the call.
No problem. Here we go. How important is it to make reference to legislation in the advanced technical OMB exam? Is it essential, or can you still pass without making much or any reference to it? And are 4 weeks of full-time exam practice sufficient?
Yeah, so legislation's a complete waste of time. Okay, legislation, there are no marks available for legislation. 4 weeks, if you're going to graft and put in the effort and do some stuff now, it's ample. It's absolutely ample. Okay, definitely. But
No
you've got,
marks for
yeah,
legislation,
no,
and
no.
so you can pass without making any reference to it.
I get annoyed when my students quote. So when I teach, I know Libby doesn't use any legislation other than Section 198 for fixtures and fittings because it goes with the relief. Um, Whereas for TOLCG, I do give them certain section numbers that will save them in the exam. OMB, you don't need much ledge at all. Individuals, you will a little bit, and your tutors will guide you. TOLCG, there are some bits that will be helpful, definitely.
And 4 weeks if you're planning to do nothing but revise.
Yeah, yeah, proactive, the read, the review, the mocks, absolutely.
Okay. October is a critical month for students. Are you able to break it down week by week?
Um, so I think ultimately one of the things, and we're going to talk about this, is the ultimate. And Ali, I know you were surprised by this when I mentioned this to you a while ago, is that the 4 days before the exam, no more question practice. Yeah, and we're going to have that chat for October. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, but your ultimate deadline, the last 4 days before the exam, no more question practice. And I've taught a lot of people here that I've got through who've bought into that. Okay. And that's really, really key because the last 4 days, you're going to do a different technique, okay, which we'll talk about in October. Yeah, we need to get people to that last 4 days. Okay, and then we'll share. But you need to get all your questions done. Do not go to the wire. That's really key.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is there, I suppose, by the final week of October, they'll know that they're exam ready from a technical point of view. And just for everybody here, we've got a webinar on the 21st of October. And if we're all recirculating back here on that date, what do you expect people to have done by the 21st of October? Because obviously,
I'm looking at my whiteboard.
Yeah,
I'm looking at my whiteboard. I would say by the 21st of October, they need to be from a mark. If you said to me from a mark percentage, I will be looking at students to be in the 40s. Yeah, minimum 40s. Okay, the bright, some of them will be in the 60s, right? But you've got to be at 40 and edging slowly. And I think those last few weeks is where again you get another acceleration. See what I'm trying to do, what I want students to do, right? This is really important. And I've done this with my own children. What I want you to do is I want you to graft as much as possible now that when you get to the week before the exam, you relax. You've done every question. You can't do any more. Now it's about knowledge retention. Now it's about focusing on the performance on the day. So it's more about you've got to do less in the last week. Does that make sense? The graft is done, and that's about then your mindset and that's where. And if people want a little bit of a snippet of what we're going to talk about on the 21st, it's about at that point you then want to write down all the different scenarios in your head on a sheet of paper and think, okay, if that came up, what are my key points? Does that make what am I going to put, like keywords, for example, very, very quickly. Okay, if you got an individual and it's purchase of own shares, okay, your keywords will be straight away income or capital. Capital, is it unquoted? Does it benefit the trade? 5-year ownership, residency, the percentage test. They've got that. That's what you've got to start doing. Yeah, where you've got to start being mimicking. Okay, if that comes up, that's what I'm ready. And if you start doing that, again, you're ready. Yeah, and if you forget anything, put it on your watch outs. So and again, the last 4 days, what they're going to do, we'll talk about on the 21st.
And we've heard you say watch outs, and I know because I've been on the last 6 webinars that we've done what a watch out is. For anyone who's new here today, can you explain the watch out concept and exactly, do you see it being in post-it format? Do you see it in big A4 format? Is it color coded? How can these people use watch outs? Because obviously your students know, but for people who aren't your students, can you explain the whole concept, please?
Yes, to be fair, a watch out is very personal to the student. I know one of my students puts them as post-it notes on his wall, okay, which wouldn't work for me. Whereas I think what I would like people to do on a watch out, say for OMB, is you want to watch out per structure, sole trader, company, partner, okay? And what it is, where you've made a mistake in a question and you thought, oh, I didn't know that, put it on the watch out. So you're revising your watch outs rather than 2,000 pages of notes because you've got base knowledge anyway. Or it could be, I'm going to forget that. Yeah. Okay. No matter how many times, Ali, I've been teaching for 25 years. I always forget the post cessation rules for sole trader company. Don't ask me why, but if anyone asked me, I actually wouldn't have a clue. Okay. I would have to go to my notes. So I have my own watch outs where there are certain things I'm always going to forget. Okay, admin is another one. Yeah, you've got to know your admin, and rather than looking at 200 pages of admin, just do your own watch outs. Because you're going to get marks if you apply it. Okay, and that's where you go from 49 to 59 to 69. Yeah, because you're being diligent, you're polishing, and that's where you need to be. And all the anti-avoidance, sorry, Ali, all the anti-avoidance for your relevant paper, because the anti-avoidance they love testing, put it on a watch out because most students struggle with that. You're going to be fine.
I think it's really clever because what human beings tend to do naturally is read what they enjoy, read what they love, read what they understand, read what they get. So if your watch outs are up there, that's basically your revision and your technical to-do list, isn't it? Because you're like, actually, I don't know about that. I don't know about that. I don't know about that. So I've got to revise them. Otherwise, I'm going to fall down in my exam. And it relates to a question, actually, that we've got from one of the students that I'll read out in a minute. But it's almost like you have to revise for everything because you cannot second guess what's going to come up based on past papers. But I'll read this question out.
Ali, can I just jump in? Can I just jump in 1 second? So just answer an earlier question. What I would want students to do in the first 2 weeks of October is make a list of all the topics you would panic if they came up in the exam. Hit those first. Yeah, hit because then you're skiing downhill. A lot of students leave it the other way around. You don't want to be doing that. So whatever you think is giving you a nightmare, get it sorted now.
Love it. Okay.
So, sorry, Ali, didn't mean to interrupt you.
Seek help on it if you can't.
From your tutors.
So this question here, I'd be interested to see how you answer it. In May Advanced Technical CTA LCG exam, there were 2 computation questions. Do you think the October exam will have the same? And there was also a 20-mark CFC question. Does this suggest it might be less likely to include a CFC question in the October exam?
You're smiling, Ali. You know what? Do you know these kind of students waste my time? I have no time for people like this. Yeah, seriously. Honestly, if my students did that, I would kick them out of my class. Yeah, because I hate these students that do this prediction or this analysis. Just learn your tax. Just learn your tax. Whatever comes up, comes up.
Because it sounds like I don't really want a CFC question to come up. So
it's so immature academically. Yeah, and these kind of people just do my heads in. I have very little time.
Because the
Sorry.
problem is, in order to become a chartered tax advisor, you're going to have a CFC question from your client one day, and you need to be able to answer it.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, just know your tax. Yeah, yeah, not a cool question. That's not cool. I'm being honest.
But we said he was no nonsense.
Yeah,
Take it lightly. But I
yeah.
think the roundabout way here is, um, if you're looking to sort of skip areas of tax because you think it's been done before, we just don't advise it, because, like we've just said here, if you're struggling in an area of tax, make a list of your panic areas and get those. Be really good at it. Because
In the
even if it
stu
doesn't come
Yeah,
up in the exam, you become a really good qualified CTA at the end of it, which ultimately is what we're looking for.
in the student's defense, right, I do get frustrated with the exam as well. And I think we did so much in class. And is that all you tested? All
Yes.
right. I do get the student's angle, right? Do you know what? I don't have a clue what they're going to do. I just don't. I wish I could, if I could give you any more support and reassurance, okay? And I can't, because, and I know I play this little game, right? Every time the exam comes out, and me and Libby do this. If we'd predicted what, because there are some naughty people who on LinkedIn like to do predictions, we would never do that. Okay. If we actually predicted what we thought would come up, oh my God, all our students would fail, because we've always got it wrong. Yeah, the examiners, and that's what that. So we just don't. No one knows. It's just bizarre. Yeah, two comps. You got lucky. You got lucky getting two comps. That was a nice question. Um, I've had it sometimes where students come back and said, "Oh, there was no comp, but did I say to you there was a comp coming up?" You know, it's yeah. Just get ready.
Yeah. A quick question going back to the focus groups. Do you know if the focus and skills webinars are recorded, as some of the dates of teaching
100%,
are past? They are.
100% they are.
Okay, yeah. So they are available to purchase, and you can watch the recording to Jordan if you've asked that question. Another question from the audience here. For students doing both advanced technical and APS, how do you approach that during the revision phase? And also, how much focus should you be putting on the awareness material?
Ali, you know the answer to this.
Don't
I'll be kind. I'll be
both
very
sit
kind.
at the same time.
Yeah. So look, at BPP, we do not encourage people to do both at the same time. There are people that pass both. From my experience, I see a lot more people failing. Um, and you are effectively taking a lot on. I think if you are doing AT and APS together, um, the main problem is for APS, it's less technical. Okay, so you already know the technical stuff. You don't need to learn anything extra other than the awareness. But it's applying the answer. And the reason why most people fail APS when they're doing both at the same time is they can't transition the writing skill from AT to APS. That's the main problem. And I get that a lot with retakers.
What I would actually recommend to that student that's just asked that question, if you reach out to me directly, what I'll be able to do is send you the link to the APS webinar we did this time
Yeah,
last year.
yeah,
The APS webinar this time last year, there was lots of people on there who were doing the advanced technical as well. And it was an entire session on how to switch your brain between the two, even though we spent about 20 minutes on it actually from memory, Nitin, where
mm,
if
mm.
people were sitting two and there was a lot of people that were, we carried on actually, and we gave them some
Yeah, we
techniques
did.
on how to do both. So if you reach out to me directly, I can give you that webinar recording, and you'll be able to go back and have a look at what Nitin suggests. And like we say, that the one is just don't do two exams on the
Yeah,
same.
and to kind of reassure people as well and I always say this when someone says to me I'm doing two, and I'll say, hang on, okay, that's fine, but do you write reports for a living? Can you naturally do an exec summary? Can you naturally do a link of recommendations and everything? If that student says, yeah, no, I do reports every day, then they're already on the past trajectory. Whereas if a student says to me, I've never written a report in my life, okay, that's where the kind of the pressure point comes. So although they're technically brilliant, it's the application. Cool.
I've got two other questions here. Keep
Yeah.
them coming, guys. This is great. So first one is, how relevant is using the legislation in the OMB exam? I'm considering purchasing the legislation for the November 25 sitting, but this will be out of date before the May 26 setting. Please advise.
Yeah, so legislation for OMB, the only time you'd probably need it is for admin, possibly. Again, if you look at CCH, I think CCH have this thing where it goes on for 3 sittings. I don't know. So have a look at what the Tolly's offering is. Have a look at what you need the student version as well, okay, of the ledge. I believe that CCH has something where it then transfers over. I could be wrong, but yeah, do a bit of research. Kronerai. It used to be called CCH.
Yeah. What would be your revision advice for someone who's retaking the advanced technical paper, i.e., does the revision approach change at all?
Oh, 100%. So depending on the mark you achieved in the last exam, you know, usually with retakers it's a minimum 35 and upwards. Yeah, so that's a really good base knowledge. I would say for retakers, it's literally read and review. Yeah, read and review, and you've really got to introspect. And what I would like a retaker to do now is go back and look at that paper that you did, because the solutions are out, everything's out, the candidate scripts are out. Go and have a genuine assessment why you didn't get through. Yeah, because and I think the problem I have as well, I've had a few challenging people where I call it academic ego, where when I've done those kind of, they can call me, we can have a focus session one-to-one, and a student will start with, "Oh, I should have passed." I thought, "Oh God, here we go." I've got nothing to add.
Yeah.
So, and I've had to cut some of those phone calls quite short very quickly, because they're not going to listen to anything I say. So please don't be that person where you're adamant you should have passed. Okay. You do need to review the previous paper line by line and be honest. Yeah, actually, I didn't know that. I didn't do that. And the candidate scripts are a really good place to look at, because they've been chosen for a reason as to why they passed, and use that to think, okay, gosh, yeah, use it to get a technical boost. And then literally just start hitting questions now, get technically top. That's it.
Great answer. Okay. Someone who's retaking, you've almost, the pressure, what it's like walking into exams. So you've almost got that out of the way, haven't you? So your heart's beating a little bit less, but like taking a driving test, you've been there before, the pressures that are
exactly
coming to you. So
hopefully
all of that sort of is not the distraction that you need on the day. And you can just focus on your technical ability, as opposed to, oh my God, I'm in an exam.
Yeah, and I've proven it. I've got a few students here. I won't mention their names unless they volunteer it. But I've had a few students here that have failed previous exams, and they contacted me as a retaker, and I gave that technique to them, and they jumped marks by 10, 15, 20%. Yeah. But a lot of people don't do all the advice you and I are giving, Ali. People don't do it. They feel like, because it takes a lot of time, it takes effort, it's going to be painful. Yeah, people don't do it. Okay, and that's the problem. They're trying to look for a shortcut, and there isn't one.
Well, here's a question, actually, it relates nicely to it. If you haven't had chance to read every topic due to time and life, in the manuals, what do you do? Revise the topic now, or focus on practice questions?
Yeah, again, we've covered it. Leave the manuals alone now. Yeah, you can't. We see it a lot with the retail, and it's a really fair point. And there are so many people that are surgically attached to the manual. Yeah, the manual doesn't guarantee you a pass. Okay, you've got to let the manual go. What you should be doing, if you come across a question where you haven't studied it, look at the memory jogger. The memory joggers are brilliant. Okay, it'll give you a quick overview. Have a quick glance at the manual, no more than 10 minutes. Then see how you go. Learn from the question. You're going to have to do that. Yeah.
I think, for me, it's just screaming. You have to. I mean, the two key things that I've got from this are the panic list, the list of panic areas. That's like huge. You've got to put your to-do list in place, and your to-do list is all the things you don't know. And
agreed.
There are obviously a list of topics, so you do know what you don't know, and you can put it down and you can revise them. And then the other thing is the no marks for legislation. That's come through really clear. today. You
Yeah.
don't need to be remembering legislation. Don't fill up your brain with that type of stuff,
Yeah.
because it's going to be irrelevant.
I'll tell you what I did as a student when I did my CTA exams. I literally had all the main topics over 4 sheets of A4, and I had 3 columns. Okay, I had 0%, I had 40%, and then I had happy face. Okay, so I knew, right, okay, where am I? And it helped me, and I would tick where I felt I was. Yeah, and what will then happen as I progressed through my revision, what was 0 gradually moved to 40. And by the time the last few days before the exam, it was on the happy face. I'm ready. Yeah, if that topic comes up, I'm ready. And that's a really nice psychological thing. I see it every day. It was I put it on my desk. Okay. And that's a really good control sheet to have,
Yeah,
you
I
know.
love that.
Yeah, that's how I did it.
And what I would say to the students here today is you can see how organised Nitin is. Look at the rainbow coloured borders behind him. He is an
Yeah, it's
organised
pretty
geek.
cool.
I
It's
love
pretty
that
cool.
about
Yeah,
him.
there you go. Yeah,
But
yeah,
love that. But this is someone who's saying if you do these things,
yeah,
these ways of doing things, you will get through. And I love
yeah,
that sort of, this is what I don't know, this is what I do know, and this is what I'm
yeah,
brilliant at. And you're moving them through the
yeah,
ranks,
absolutely.
very clear, very concise, and it's going to help you get those exams under your
Yeah,
belt because you're going to go into it technically brilliant.
yeah, yeah. You're gonna win. You need 50%. Look, you need, and again, I was doing a question yesterday evening with my TOLCG class, and there were some bits in the question that were, I said, guys, what would you do here? And it was so nice to hear from my students. Nick, we'd ignore it. I thought, yes. All right. And this is where these guys need to learn as well. You're not going to win every point in the question. Yeah. I call it 50 lifelines. If you don't know, move on. And I reassure my students, that's obscure, that's niche. If you missed it, I'll be proud of you. But if you miss this, I will kill you, because it's a basic point. And they know that. Look, don't miss this point. Don't get worried. And so many students get worried about the niche, the niggly, the obscure, they fail. Yeah, because they're worth 10, 15 marks overall. Whereas if you keep it simple, the NIT mantra, keep it simple, attack it, apply it, you're ready.
Another question is Tolly's has provided us with yellow and orange books. Do you recommend tabbing up the legislation?
But you can't use it in the exam. Why would you tab it? Yeah, you've got to use the electronic version. So yeah, I don't understand that question at all.
Okay, good. Right. Have we got any other questions here? Has anybody got anything else to ask Nitin while he's here? Whilst I'm letting you, she meant tabbing the electronic versions.
Yeah, if you only tab something if you feel like you're going to use it. Yeah, so you've got to be, so if it's going to 100% help you apply, if you're doing OMB, I'd say you're wasting time. Yeah, because a lot of people get taught, tab the share scheme stuff. It will take you longer to find out the share scheme stuff than to just learn the keywords. Yeah, so unless you're very quick on legislation, you can navigate fast. It's quicker for you to do that, then do it. So and I would encourage, do what works for you. Yeah.
Hopefully that answers your question there. Yeah, she meant tabbing on
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Um, the 21st of October, we've got another webinar. Should people be coming back? It's not going to be the same stuff. It's going to be something different. Tell us what you're going to be talking about on the 21st of October now.
Yeah, so on the 21st of October, it's probably when you are at your worst. Okay, you're tired, you're fed up, you're doubting yourselves, and you're going to get I think you're going to get a very kind of, okay, calm knit, let's see where you are. Okay. And also, we're going to concentrate on the last 4 days, which I think will be make or break. All I ask every student here who's been with us live, who's watching the recording, couldn't be with us live, get all your questions done. Try and get your questions done before the 4 days before the real exam. That's really, then we can really help you. I also want to talk about mock, Sally. Yeah, because a lot of students, so my own students get told this. As long as you can get a minimum 45% in a mock to get your past assurance as well, Okay. I've had students get 24% in a mock the week before the exam and get 60% on the day. Yep. Happens every time. Happens every time. Okay. Why? Because, and I'll tell you what it is. The mock itself is a dress rehearsal. It's the only exam these lovely people are going to do where they're technically ready. Yeah, all the others they're not technically there. This is the one. And what they want to do is they're gonna have to practice their exam mode, their time management and everything, and it will go to pot. Yeah, how many times have we heard, oh, I didn't finish the paper, I didn't finish the question. Yeah, so all your bad habits are going to come through that paper. Okay, and what I see that student doing, if they stick to the 4-day plan that we've got, yeah, and they sit back and reflect, okay, yeah, that wasn't cool. I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have done this. They're clocking up marks. Does that make sense? They're literally clocking up marks. And we see it a million times, Ali. Okay, a million times. And and also I've had students pass mocks and fail the real exam. Okay, all right. And so, and again, you've got to be on your guard. Okay, passing a mock, failing a mock doesn't determine your fate. It's a dress rehearsal of your game plan. Does that make sense? It's a tactical dress rehearsal. Yeah,
A few more questions.
go
Should
for
we
it.
be using memory joggers whilst doing read and review? I suppose that's the
Yeah, absolutely. If you need to get a technical refresh quickly and you feel like I've forgotten this topic, go to the memory jogger first. Absolutely. Brilliant. And they are brilliant. They're amazing what Tollies produce.
yeah.
Yeah.
What's the difference between a student who just about passes and a student who's a prize winner?
So I've had I've had prize winners in the past. Okay. I think with prize winners, okay, what prize winners do, bizarrely, is they don't write reams and reams. Every sentence that they write is applied. Yeah, so they've spotted the transaction correctly, they've applied it to the scenario, and they've given tax impact. Does that make sense? So I'll give you an example. If you're talking about a shareholder and BADAR for OMB Advanced Technical, all of you are going to hopefully write that it's a material disposal, 5%, 24 months, trading company working 10%. All of that stuff's in there. But what you're then doing, you're talking about the election, the admin takes you to the next level, that you're making the claim by the 31st of Jan. If it's for 25, 26, it'll be 2028. Yeah, so you're doing all these different things and you're talking about the tax impact. Yeah, that this BADAR will save the client 10% CGT. Yeah, so it's a very nice articulated points. Yeah, and they don't go in to that exam, oh, I'm going to get a prize. They go in giving the best answer they've ever given. Yeah, and the reason why students run out of time is because they double write. They define BADAR, then apply it. There's only one mark available. Just go straight into applying. Name the people. Yeah. Okay, start doing that. And if you're coming on these focus sessions, my APS one, Libby's OMB, and the other ones by Tollies and Kaplan, they will show you its application. And you suddenly get an extra 10, 15 marks because you're applying, you're not knowledge dumping. Yeah. And that makes a big difference.
Spotting, applying, and explaining the tax impact.
Tax impact, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And you do all three, you're going to be in you'll get 60 to 70% without breaking into a sweat. And I've proven that.
Wow. Okay. Love that. Another one. Will the 4-day plan be shared on the webinar on the 21st?
Yes.
Yes. And I had one last question, which is probably not about the technical nitty-gritty, but how can these people be kind to themselves over the next 6 to 8 weeks?
Yeah, so this is a really big thing, okay? And I'm a big fan of when you do your timetable, you have to have rest days or rest evenings or rest moments. Yeah, and I think a lot of people don't do that. You need to get the support from family and friends. Okay, so if I know a lot of my students have got young children. Okay, and the last thing you want is family arguments. Yeah, who's looking after the kids, who's feeding the kids, or who's walking the dog. Okay, all of that stuff needs to be sorted now, where you've got a plan that your family buy into this. Okay, and I think, Ali, a lot of people don't do that.
Mhm.
Okay, and I think that causes a whole load of stress that kind of then, again, coming back to the negativity, it affects your productivity on the day, and that's not fair on you. And I genuinely feel sorry for these people, and also people that are just like what I would call the study hermit, lock out friends, lock out family. No, you need your friends right now. I needed my friends to just make me laugh.
Yeah.
Yeah, having a laugh, just going to watch a movie or going for a walk. You need to have things. And for me, there were definite study no-nos. Friday evening, Saturday evening, late Sunday afternoon, I was not studying.
Yeah.
Okay, because I knew I had to recover. Okay, and I think also, are you a morning person? Are you an evening person? And we talk about the traffic light system, right? So I'm a morning person. I can get up at 5 in the morning. I know the first 3 hours, I will do my most complex, difficult stuff done. Then anything that where I'm on 40% will be amber. Yeah. I'll be honest, when I'm studying, I take an afternoon nap. Yeah. I need my brain to rest. I'll watch something on TV.
Mhm.
Okay. Like, as you know, my favorite's Only Fools and Horses. I will watch something. Okay. And then in the evening, I will do something where I've got a happy face. Yeah, so my brain is gradually resting, so I'm ready for the next day for the fight again. That's what you've got to do when you're doing your timetable. Okay, just keep it sensible,
Yeah.
and it
And
works.
that's wonderful advice. And I
Yeah,
think, you can go out on a Friday night if you're not going out heavily drinking, because if you're going out, you're just having dinner or you're just having a family meal with your
yeah,
mum and dad or whatever. And then Saturday morning, you're ready to go. So it's about being
yeah,
disciplined and sensible with that time you allow yourself.
yeah. And with families, as soon as you said mum and dad, I probably wouldn't go with my mum. She'd probably do my head in. So when it comes to family, go with a family member that's not going to increase your stress and anxiety. I've had students say that, Nick, that
Yeah.
didn't work. I went out, you said go for a meal. Yeah, go with family that are supporting you and not suddenly saying, what are you doing with your life? Why are you not married yet? Or why are you,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So people that are on your side, I think I think you got people, I think the best thing is during these studies, you've got to laugh and smile. I think that's your secret weapon to passing. You've got to enjoy this journey. Don't find CTA as a burden. Yeah, enjoy it. Really embrace it, and then you're going to be absolutely fine.
And here's just before we finish,
Go on.
I almost want to give everybody permission to book a holiday.
Yeah,
So I almost want to say to people, book a holiday. When's the best time to book a holiday, Nick?
book a holiday.
Is it before the exams or after?
Oh, don't. To be fair, I have had. Do you know what? Life is life, right? I've got a stu. I had one student that got married recently during her studies. A lovely student, lovely student. She's got an amazing work ethic. I've got another student who's booked a holiday now, and she said, Nick, I wasn't planning on doing CTA. If I'm doing it, I go, look, genuinely, Ali, I've gone on holiday before an exam. Yeah, and I think that's why you asked the question. I did my best revision.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. I allocated time. Things I was. Do you know what it was? I was surprised. I was chilled. Things that I didn't understand suddenly made sense. But I had my study time, so my wife was. It was cool. But after that, it was great. And again, the power of just being relaxed. Okay. So yeah, holidays are great. Take a break. If you wake up on a Sunday and you've planned to do 6 things for studying and your head's not in the game,
Mm.
do you know what? Just take the day off. Take the day off. You'll be super efficient day after, and you'll catch up.
And when I say holiday, I suppose I mean a break, really. So if
Yeah,
you're in a very hectic job in
yeah,
London and it's stressful and there's
yeah,
noise around you and you live opposite a school and it's very distracting,
yeah,
take yourself to the Peak District or the Cotswolds for 4 days and
yeah,
give yourself some space. Writers
yeah,
do it. There's no reason why students can't. Not talking going to Greece and going down the strip. I'm talking go and have a
yeah,
break,
yeah.
relax, take
No,
some time out. You don't have to get
yeah,
on a flight. You could just hop on a train.
Yeah, absolutely. And even somewhere local to you, like I say, if you're in London, Hyde Park is just amazing. Regent's Park's amazing. A lot of these parks, if you've got an area of greenery around you, okay, or if you're lucky, you've got a beach, okay. Oh my God, you just need time out.
And I've got two questions that are very,
Go on,
very similar here.
go on.
One is how much should be studying per week roughly during the revision stage? And the other one is how much time do you recommend it allocated daily during the 4 week period leading up to the exam to avoid burnout?
It's how bad you want it and how much you can handle it. Yeah, it's as simple as that. As soon as I put in a certain amount of hours, okay, I know there'll be a whole LinkedIn. Oh, Nick's not managing people's mental health. I'll tell you what I did. I was doing a minimum, I would say 10 to 12 hours a day. Yeah, I was doing a minimum straight 10 to 12 hours a day because when I did it was called ATII then, we had to pass all 4 exams in one go. And I would have lost my job had I failed. It was as simple as that. Where the firm that I was at, okay, so we were under a lot of pressure. And because it meant a lot to me, it wasn't a burden. It was sold to me. Get your ATII, you'll get promoted, you'll get a pay rise, you'll get all the perks. Okay, the prize was too great for me, and it's about how bad you want it. Okay, but I did take breaks. I knew my weak points. That's why I had the whole traffic light system.
And I
Yeah.
think as well, what a couple of people are saying, how do you balance that with full-time work? And the answer is you can't, like it's not physically possible. And I think that what Nick's saying is he was 10 to 12 hours a day, but he was sitting all 4 exams at once.
Yeah.
And so, realistically, if you've got a full-time job, Nick, how much time in a day can
Okay.
people be expected to put into study?
Right. Okay. I get that. So what I say to people that do full time is Monday to Friday in an evening, just concentrate on the 40% and the happy face topics.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. That's one. What I found, right, because the firm that I worked at, the minute I got home, Ali, I was knackered. I was shattered. Because for me, home just meant sleep. Home just meant don't study. So my boss at the time, who's a legend, right, said to me, Nick, why don't you just stay in the office? Just go to a meeting room. Okay, go to a meeting room and just do 2 hours there. And that was the best thing ever. I'd go to the meeting room after work or sometimes early in the morning. And because I was at work, I could study, but I didn't do anything heavy. I would concentrate and I would do like gentle read and reviews on topics I liked. So it gave me, and I did it for 4 days a week. I didn't do Friday. Okay. But when it came to the weekends, my weekends were my weekends on a Saturday, I hit 10 to 12 hours because I knew I had that time. So I'd be getting up at 5 in the morning, starting at 6. I'd be finishing around about 4 to 6, depending on the day. Yeah, and I'd go combat mode. Yeah, and on Sunday I probably stopped around about 4. Yeah, and I had things planned in, and it works, guys. It really, if you do the 10-minute review and everything we've told you, you've got enough time.
Yeah.
And you've got to be positive. You want to get things wrong. Your job for the next 4 weeks is make a million mistakes, but not careless ones, but grow.
Yeah. We've just had another question.
Go on.
But it's slightly off topic. So what I'm actually going to do, Kaushal, is I'm going to ask Nit that offline. I'll drop you an email, Nit, and then we can reply to Kaushal separately because I'm very conscious about everybody's time in their diaries. We're just at 12:59 now. The webinar did say it would run until 1. Nitin, as always, thank you for being.
Ali, can I just ask a quick question? Can I do something different?
Absolutely.
Ali, can you ask, well, we'll ask it together. To everyone who's here with us right now, what's been the game-changing thing that Ali and I have done for you today? Can you let us know in the chat, please? What's the game-changing thing? Because we never ask this. We never know what impact we've had. So Gang, would you be kind enough just to let us know? You can say nothing. We won't get offended. But has there been anything that's boosted your confidence, given you a structure, put a smile on your face today?
Telling us not too late, and it's okay to be at 20-30% right now. I feel more relaxed after you said 20 to 30%. What the focus is for the next 4 weeks. Technique and approach really helpful. Loads of gems. It's okay to get things wrong. It's not too late.
There you go.
Lists. Yeah,
we did it.
Focusing
we
on
did
questions.
it.
Yeah, we still have time to revise. Panic areas 0%. We've got loads coming through. These are fabulous, guys. Thank you so much. Yeah, brilliant. Well, look, we'll look forward to seeing as many of you as possible on the 21st of October. Get linked in, get on the link. I'll take all of these, Nitin, I'll send them all to you on email so you can see the type of things that people are after and that people are happy with, okay?
Yeah.
Fabulous. Brilliant. Thank you so much, everybody, and happy revising.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. Good luck. You've got this.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.